Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Corinne and you have found CoryCreates, where I talk about all of my creative endeavors, primarily in cross stitch, sewing, quilting, gardening, anything that I am doing creatively. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to be with you all this afternoon. Today is Thursday, July 25th, 2024, and this is Flosstube number 28. I am excited to be here. I have a lot to share with you. I have projects on projects on projects, and I'm excited to finally be back and to be able to share everything I have with you. It's raining, it's storming a little bit, so hopefully you all won't hear the rain too badly, but here in St. Louis, it has been warm, not overly so, which is surprising. But today it's a little rainy, but we can always use a little bit more rain. We had a lot of rain a couple weeks ago, and it's finally died down a little bit, but today we've got some again. But all I know is I don't have to go out there and water my plants that are on the deck, so I'm grateful for that. What do I have for you today? I have a lot. I have a new start. I have 3 finishes. I have my whips, a short stack of whips. I have a quilting project that I'm going to show you. And I also have a finish in bag making or sewing that I am super excited about. I'll talk a little bit at the very end about my trip to Canada. Don't have a lot of haul from that, but I do want to talk about it a little bit because it did give me a little inspiration in a few areas. But that is what I have for you today. Hopefully I won't forget to mention any of those things, but I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for joining me. If you are a new person here, I hope you will be inspired by what you see and like and subscribe to my channel. I am grateful for those of you that continue to come back and watch me. I appreciate the fact that you take the time out to come back and watch me, because there's a lot of content out there, and I just appreciate those of you that come back every single time, and particularly to those of you that give me comments, give me feedback, so I can always improve. I kind of operate best that way. I always want to make improvements. So thank you for those of you all who always give me encouraging feedback. I really appreciate that. So let's start off with my new start. This was my new start that I began on July 2nd. It is a part of a stitch along that I am participating in with Stitch and Jim right here on Flosstube, and she's also on Instagram. But Jim and I kind of have collaborated on this. Nothing real formal, just wanted to invite you all to join us on the Phoenix Sampler, and I will put the hashtag down below if you want to join us. We just started, so feel free to jump right in. You can get this pattern on Etsy from Twin Peak Primitives, and this is what it looks like. We are enjoying it so far, and I am eagerly awaiting Jim's update on what she is doing with this stitch. But she is such a sweetheart, and she took the time out to make me a project bag to go along with the theme. And here's my project bag. She showed her matching one on her last Flosstube a week or so ago, but it's got this double zipper, which I love. I have to find some charms to put on there, but this is my sampler bag that I am definitely keeping my sampler in. And I started this on, again, July 2nd. I am doing this project on 25 count shadow. Matter of fact, let me show you the packaging for that fabric. Vintage Cloth by Lori Holt. It's a 25 count even weave. You all, I love 25 count. And this project has solidified my love for 25 count. This is what I do my Heaven and Earth designs on. And I have kind of put my Heaven and Earth design to the side. I am going to pick it back up soon, but that was the only current project that I had that I was working on with 25 count. Oh man, I missed it. Here is where I am. I'm just going to keep it in the Q-snap, but I have worked out some of that border. I have done the first set of letters and numbers, and then I just had to jump you all and start on that bouquet. That was the only reason I went across here with the border, because I said I need to get with the bouquet. And then directly underneath there is the house, the huge house. So I definitely wanted to start knocking that bouquet out. It is beautiful. I am using a conversion on some of the threads. I wanted to use the overdyes, and now that I have started using the overdyes, I'm wondering if I should have just done the DMC. The reason being, I'm doing this 1/1, so I'm only using one strand. So I'm wondering how much of the variegation is going to show up for me, but we will see, because I'm going to continue with it because I bought quite a few of the overdyes. Now, if I had the call for is Classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works or DMC, whichever one you want to do. And the fancy flosses are a combination of those two lines. And what I did was I went through my current stash to see what I already had, and then I went and made a list of the Weeks and the Classic Colorworks I didn't have. And when I went to Color and Cotton, which like you guys know is right down the street from me, I just pulled those Weeks and those Classic Colorworks, and then I went down her Color and Cotton wall and I matched them. So I have a running list of Color and Cotton conversions for other fancy flosses or DMC. So that is what I did. I love this project. I have not worked on it over the last week because I was out of town, and I did not want to take 25 count on the road with me. I didn't know how well I would be able to see it all the time, because when I travel, I don't take everything that I have at home, and my lighting is usually not as good when I travel. So I definitely want to get back to this. I probably won't get back to it till next week, but I am super excited about my start so far. The border's not bad. It's a more elaborate border. It's not just a simple line. So far, I have not had to do a lot of frogging, because frogging on 25 count is not for the weak, okay? But I'm very pleased with my start. So again, that is Phoenix Sampler by Twin Peak Primitives. Please use the hashtag. I also saw it on a SAL website, or a SAL posting on Instagram. And if I remember the name of that site, I will put it below as well. So Jim, I'm waiting to see how you're doing, girl. I can't wait to see your update. I have been able to work on quite a few whips this summer, simply because I've had more sitting time than usual because I have been traveling. If you've been with me for a while, you know that we went to Turks and Caicos earlier in the summer in June, and then we had to drive to New Orleans to take my daughter down to school. Just me, not my family, but I went on a girls trip with my best friend and a couple of her super close friends. The four of us went to Canada this past week, so that was more flight time. And this weekend, I'm going to get some more stitching time. I have to make a run up to Kansas City for a memorial service, just a quick turnaround trip on Saturday. So that's another, 8 hours in the car. And then next weekend, the first weekend in August, Layla actually comes home this Friday after her summer stint at Zula. And then she's going back to stay to get started on fall semester next weekend, the 3rd as well. So that's 10 hours each way from St. Louis to New Orleans. So I have been able to touch quite a few whips this summer, and 3 of the 5 that I'm getting ready to show you I did take with me to Canada. So let me go ahead and start with these whips. The first one, I'm going to put a picture of where I was last time. This is the Lipton Ice Tea. I guess you'd call it a vintage logo. It's got Sir Lipton on there, as well as a tea bag, and you will recognize it when you see it. But here's where I am now. I got that yellow blob done finally. The tag, that white blob is the tag. Excuse me. And I finished the word tea, and I have started on the word Lipton that is going straight across. So I'm predicting, you all, that this is going to be a finish, because that's all I have left is the word Lipton, and then I've got a tiny bit of backstitch, those words and everything in here, and then just some backstitching that gives his face and clothes a little more definition. So I'm excited. It's turned out well. This is being done on a 14 count red Aida. Just something I pulled out of my stash, and I'm very glad and pleased with my choice. I did use the called for colors, but I did switch out. There was a brown that was called for, and because this was on such a bright red, I switched the brown to black. And I'm very much glad I made that choice, because I could not read the chart very well. The version that I have, it's just a photocopy that somebody gave me like 30 years ago, you all. And I couldn't read the chart. Some of the symbols were the same, and I'm like, why would you make the symbols the same? Well, when I went and found this in a vintage like 10, and it looked black to me, so that's what I made it, and I liked it better than the brown that it was supposed to be, so I kept it black. So this will be a finish the next time I see you. My son is in tennis camp all summer, and I have been sitting with him while he's at the tennis camp. The camp's about 2 hours, so if I don't have a grocery run or anything to make, I'm sitting there stitching. So this is what I have picked up, and I know he's got at least 2 more weeks of camp, so I plan on getting this completed by the next time I see you. So again, that is the Lipton Vintage 10. That's what I'm calling it anyway. So that's my first whip. The next whip was a new start the last time I saw you, and I did take this with me to Canada. And this is what I worked on while I was in the hotel room. Sorry, y'all, I had to pause. It was a spider on the wall. There was no way I was going to be able to concentrate for the rest of this video if I didn't take care of him. He's up high. I took care of it though, so I could concentrate on talking to you all. So this next whip is African Woman with Baby, and it is by Haynes. I believe it's pronounced Haynes Needlecraft. But this was a new start last month, or I'm sorry, earlier this month, because I'm coming to you all twice in 1 month. But I got this on Etsy. And I've seen a couple other people do it. Minnie All X's has done it, I believe. But the colors are so vibrant, and I'm really enjoying working on it. I have downloaded it into my pattern keeper. So I'm really glad I was able to work on this while I was on my trip. And it's going very quickly, you all. But here is where I am. It is being stitched on 28 count. I believe it is Amber Waves by Atomic Ranch. I was in the Stitch New England Club for a little while, and this was one of my stitches from that. And I really like how the colors are popping on it. Let me see if I can get a little closer. But this is also reviving my love for 28 count, because I've kind of moved more into 32, and as you can see earlier, 25 count, but 32 has been my wheelhouse for probably the last couple of years. It's really primarily what I've been working on. So when I was in that club though, I could only get in on the 28 count. So that's why I ended up getting it. And I'm just glad I'm able to use it still and still enjoy working on 28 count. Because that used to be all I worked on, 28 or 14. That was it. So I'm glad to get back to it. The detail in this, I love this little chicken up here in this basket she's balancing on her head with all the fruits and veggies in it. And then you see all the beads and the everything coming out as I start down to her dress, her head wrap. This has about 39 colors in it, I believe, and I've already completed a couple of them. So there's a lot of color changes in this, but y'all know that's what I love. I love to change the colors. So I'm going to keep pushing on this one. I hadn't anticipated picking it back up, but I enjoyed it the first go round. So I am definitely going to keep going. But lots and lots of threads for this one. And I'm very excited about the progress that I have made on that one. So again, that is African Woman and Baby by Haynes Needlecraft. And you can get that on Etsy. All right, the next one is another one I didn't anticipate picking up. I worked on this one on the way back from Canada. Okay, I worked on this. I think I worked on it sitting in the airport, and I think I worked on it one night in the hotel room, and I worked on it a couple nights when we got back. I got back on this past Sunday, so Monday and Tuesday I did work on this as well. And this is the Blue Flower in Praise of Pollinators. There's a SAL going on with this one as well. I'll put it down below. I am not following the recommended order of stitching that the SAL, that Lala D Stitches has been talking about, is doing. I believe they started in the middle, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to start up at the top. My usual start is a top left, so that's what I chose to continue with. But I am using the called for DMC, and there are a few overdyes in this, Weeks and Classic Colorworks. Now, I do want to mention, I found online, I am in the St. Louis Stitchers Facebook group. And Angela, who is the owner of Color and Cotton, is in that Facebook group. And somebody had posted in there, it might have been her, I can't remember, but she has a conversion. This is primarily DMC. There are about 20 colors in this that are DMC, that is charted in DMC, but she has done a conversion of all the colors, including the fancy floss, into Color and Cotton threads. If you're interested in that, you can get that on her website. And that's what I did. I just pulled it, and the ones that I've highlighted there, those are colors that I already have. So depending on the look of it, I may change the DMC that is called, that I've already pulled, and change it to these colors that I already have of Color and Cotton. So I will put in a picture of where I was, and then here is where I currently am on In Praise of Pollinators. Now, I had completed the bird the last time we were together. It might have even been the time before that, because I'm not even sure if I worked on this the last time. But I finished this branch up to here, and then I added in some of these leaves. Okay, I think I've got another bunch of leaves right here that needs to be done, and then I'm finally done with this bird and his surroundings. Over here, I think there's another bird, like a little parrot or something. And then below that is where most people started with this. But I think I'm going to go straight over. And there's a number of, there's a flower. And then there's that bat. There's a gray and brown bat over here. And he's probably the biggest motif in the design. I'm going to go ahead and knock him out, I think. So I'm just going to continue to go straight over. This fabric is 32 count Boreas. by Under the Sea Fabrics. It was a fabric I got earlier this year in the Stitch Club. And I'm just super excited that I'm using so many of the fabrics that I have been getting in my Stitch Clubs. I'm currently in 2, and that's probably always going to be my limit, because I was taking a look at my fabrics. I got a lot of fabric. So again, this is in praise of pollinators. I made that needle minder. It was just a button, I think, that I found, and I got the shank taken off of it. I tend to do that quite a bit. So next time I will have moved the Q-snap and have progressed over this way. So that is in praise of pollinators. I'm super excited about that. The next one, as you all know, July is usually Jolly July. Last July, if I recall, I did primarily Christmas. That's almost all that I did last July. Well, this time, as you can see, I've got other ideas going, but I'm still stitching a little bit of Christmas. And this next whip falls into that category. This is the Reindeer by Cottage Garden Samplings. I started this the day after Christmas in 2023, but I have not picked it up, I don't think, since January. So I said, you know what, for Jolly July, I'm getting this one out. I love it. It is being stitched on a 32 count. Let me make sure. Yes, I believe it's a 32 count linen. I don't remember. Dawn. Picture this plus Dawn is the linen. And it is also still in the Q-snap, but I'm going to put in a picture of where I was the last time I showed it. And then here is where we are this time. This is probably, outside of black, this is probably the darkest fabric I have ever worked on. It is a linen. I don't have a lot of linen that I stitch on, but I purchased this specifically for this pattern and the fox, which is a complementary pattern to it. But this is what I purchased it for. And I'm starting to get into a groove with the linen. Of course, I have to have good light, but I've been able to make some progress. My goal is to at least finish these antlers. I think I've got, this is the beginning of the biggest part. And then I've got some more swirls over here to complete, but I think that's where I'm going to go. I'm definitely not going to put it down again until I finish the antlers. So again, this is the Reindeer by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I'm doing it on a 32 count Dawn by Picture This Plus. So that is my Christmas stitch that I'm working on. I think the last whip that I have to share with you is, and I'm going to move this around a little bit, is my Bengal Tiger. I will insert a picture of what it's supposed to look like when it is complete, because again, this was something somebody gifted to me many years ago. It is being stitched on a 28 count wheat that I got from 123 Stitch. And I wish wheat came in 32 count, but I am definitely going to order some more of this because I have truly enjoyed stitching on it. Let me put in where I was, but here is where I am now on the Bengal Tiger. He is coming along. As you can see, some of the green of the greenery is starting to creep in. I've got a little bit here and a little bit up here that I've added, and then now I'm just finishing off his neck area. I've got a little bit more over here to go, and then he's surrounded by leaves all around him. So he has really come along. He is slated for a finish for sure this year. I'm going to keep him in my current rotation, you know, the one I reach for. I picked him up again last night, and he was a plain stitch. Just like when we went to Turks, I worked on him on the plain. I'm working on him again. I worked on him again on the plain. back and forth to Canada. So that was Bengal Tiger. I'm really enjoying him. He's beautiful, and I can't wait to display him. I'm hoping he will match what eventually our living area will look like, because I would love to display him in a living area, common living area where we all are on a regular basis. I have another tiger that I did many years ago, so I'm going to see if I can find a frame that complements that frame as well and display them both together. So that is my last whip. So let me regroup and then we'll start with my finishes. You all, I have 3 finishes. It has never happened. They're kind of smaller, but I'm very excited about them. One of them gave me a fit and had been on my list for quite some time, but I got it done. And then one is a series that I am putting all together. So I got one element of the series done, but I'm counting it as a finish. So this first one is Joy by Misty over at Luminous Fiber Arts. This was a freebie that you can get on her website. I'll show you where I was the last time. It is being done on a 18 count black Ada. And the last time I had this out was sometime earlier in the spring. Might have been a couple months ago. I don't remember. But the last time you all saw this, I was having a fit because I'd had to frog. And frogging on black is not pleasant, but just frogging at all on such a small project when you think you're in the home stretch and then you realize you're not because you messed it up. But this bird, I had to completely frog the bird this last time, but I've had no more problems since. And I finished this before I went out of town the last time. But here is where it was, and then here is where we are. I used a Weeks Dye Works. I believe it was Envy was the color. And then that red, at the last minute, I decided to make the center of that O in red. It is a specialty stitch. And I think I just used like a DMC red, like 321, something like that. But I wanted a bright red to kind of contrast with that green. But I am very excited about this. This is definitely going to be an ornament. I don't know if it's going to be a pillow ornament or a flat fold ornament of some type. I want to do it in a circular shape, but I think I might find a circle, some kind of cutout that is that size and go with that. I didn't realize this until I actually did this part. These are little musical notes. That's so cute. I didn't even realize that until I was back stitching them. But once I got back on track, this came together quickly. I think you all can see pretty good on camera the variegation in the thread. So I'm super excited about that finish. So that is finish number 1. Finish number 2 is on the back side of this board. And this is Strawberry Faire. And I was kind of doing like a mini stitch along with Melanie of Uplift Stitches. She completed hers. And when I watched her video a couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, I think I can finish mine as well. So this was a fun summer stitch. I did start it on June 1st or 2nd. When she and I had talked about it and agreed. And if you have not watched Melanie and her husband Michael on their video Uplift Stitches, head on over there. They have had a video quite recently and it was full of stitching. So here is my finish on Strawberry Faire. This was done on a 32 count orange picot by Under the Sea Fabrics, another one that I got in my club mailing a few months ago. I really enjoyed working on this. Now, Melanie had mentioned in her video that she changed this flower color to something else. I believe it is Moon Glow. But you all, I had a little trouble with a couple of these colors myself. These are all done with the over-dyed called for colors, except for the little white in his chest and tail. That was supposed to be parchment, I believe, but I just used 3033 from DMC since it was such a small area. And I'm really paying attention to that. There's a couple times I bought a overdyed and I didn't need that much of it. I could have just used the DMC. So that's what I'm kind of paying attention to now. But I really like this. This orange picot, it reads pink to me, which is why I used it. I have a ton of it still left. This is folded in half and then it's folded in half again. So I have the rest of this fat quarter to still use. I'm seeing a pillow because I have done honey Faire as well, and I want to do that in a pillow as well. And I would love to be able to display both of them in the summertime. So super excited. She mentioned that back to what Melanie was saying, she mentioned that she changed this color. She wanted it to be a little bit more yellow. Melanie, I was tempted. I believe she said she used Summer Meadow by Gentle Arts, and I had that color, but then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it because I had already stitched it. And I don't know if you can see it here. I think I accidentally stitched one of these vines. It was supposed to be Broom Tree by Weeks Dye Works, but I think I accidentally did it in the Moon Glow. But they both have a lot of yellow and green variation in them, so I probably got it confused on that part right underneath the bird. But again, it's for me, so I just kept it like it was. So that is finish number 2, Strawberry Faire. So the strawberry and bee stitches are still going strong over here. All right, this last one, I love it so much. This is another Christmas stitch that I am working on. This is Big City Christmas by Country Cottage Needleworks. This is being stitched on 32 count lamb's wool Lugana. I love it. I have made some changes, which I'll outline in just a second. But here is the theater. I'm calling this a finish for now because as you can see, I have left both in the department store and in the theater the signage empty because I plan to change it. Instead of putting department store or theater, I'm going to put Macy's in this one. And on the theater, we have a local theater here called The Fox here in St. Louis. So I am going to put The Fox on this one. So I do have to do a little charting to make sure I get that right. It also says now playing right here. I'll just do that later. But I am going to keep the now playing part. But this went very fast. My goal with this is to do one more. So I will probably start another one of these before the end of the summer and get it done by the end of the year. And then that way I will be almost halfway. I think the toy store comes next and then the street scene. And the street scene is the middle because it does not have a building on it. It's kind of in the middle. Like I think it's got a taxi cab and a Christmas tree. But so next is the toy store. And I love how the garland above the city connects. And the next one connects right to it. Matter of fact, I started the next garland right next to it. But I really enjoy stitching this. It goes fast. I am using all of the called fors. There might be a couple of them that I could not get at the time and I changed it to a color and cotton color. But for the most part, I am using the called for and I'm enjoying it immensely. So again, this is the Big City Christmas series. This is the theater and I'm getting ready to roll on to the next one. So those finishes, you all, put me at 5 finishes for the year. And I currently have, and I'm looking at my list, I currently have 22 active whips. I have one, I believe, that I have put in timeout that I know for sure I am not going to touch this year. But from my list of active whips, I have 22, which is wild because as you all know, I'm trying to do at least 25 starts and at least 25 finishes for 2024. And I believe that one that I started earlier this month puts me at 9 starts for the year. I have at least 3 more that I would definitely like to start this summer, maybe more. But I'm just excited that while I'm adding to my WIP list, some are coming off. And that's definitely what I wanted to accomplish. I don't know if I'm going to make that goal of 25 starts and 25 finishes, but it has definitely pressed me and pushed me to get more stitching done and to be more intentional about what I'm doing. I am not a process stitcher. I am a progress stitcher. I want the finish. I want to get it done. And I think I'm in the minority on that because I've been looking at a lot of people with their WIP parades and things of that nature. So most of them say I am a process stitcher. I can tell you I am not. But that comes from me having previously been a monogamous stitcher. I was a monogamous stitcher up until 2022. I rarely had more than one thing going at a time. And if I did, one was off to the side, put away, while one was being worked on continuously, consistently over time. So I know that pretty much has something to do with it. The fact that I used to be a completely monogamous stitcher up until 2 years ago. Just a couple of housekeeping things. I just wanted to make sure I mention a couple of other people that mentioned me in their videos these last couple of weeks. The first one is Cross Stitch the Globe. 2 ladies, lots of fun. But they mentioned my 2-year Flosstube anniversary. So thank you very much, ladies. They recently uploaded part 1 of their WIP parade because, you know, between the 2 of them, they have quite a bit going. So check that out if you have not. But they have a very fun and informative channel, which I am very glad that I found. And I have been exploring a lot of their Flosstube University posts that I'm enjoying as well. The other person I wanted to make sure I mentioned was Hoop It Up with Jan. Very prolific stitcher, very wide variety of stitches, and I just really enjoyed watching her last couple of videos. Thank you so much, Jan, for mentioning me. I appreciate it. She has a bird chart that is gorgeous, and I'm hoping that becomes available at some point. I believe it's a picture that a family member drew and it was transferred into cross stitch. So I really enjoyed watching that particular video. Sorry about that. Hubs just came home. Is it just me, or I can't film with somebody watching me? I don't know why. It's kind of dumb that I feel that way, but I don't know why. I'm fine if you watch it after I'm done with it. But I don't want you standing and watching me while I'm in the process for some reason. The Cross Stitch the Globe ladies, I think somebody's husband came home. They just kept on going. Hey, babe, I can't do that. I have to stop and reset. So hopefully I finished those 3 people. And I did want to mention a couple of other floss tubes that I watched, and it was mainly their WIP parades. Helen D, you all know her. She's wonderful. Burn Stitches, you all know her, and if you don't, check them out. Stitch by Liz was another WIP parade that I watched. Stitching Mama Emily was a new floss tuber that I watched. Pieced Pineapple Studio. Cross Stitching Diva was a new floss tuber that I liked. Lots of fancy ladies, you all. So if you were into fancy ladies, go check her out. And I love that her name matches her, not just her personality, but her job. She's an opera singer. So I thought that was wonderful that her name was Cross Stitching Diva. And then Molly McMaker. She's a new floss tuber. that I started watching. She has 2 videos. I'm in the middle of her last one, and her last one I'm particularly interested in because she's doing a project bag parade, and I just love watching other people's project bags. You all, I think I have 2 project bags in my collection that I did not make myself. One of them was the one from Jim, and then I have another one that I got last year in a strawberry swap that I participated in. But that's pretty much it. So I always like seeing other people's bags and being inspired by those. So I have 2 sewing projects that I want to share. This first one I'm going to share here, and then I'm going to switch my camera and show you the second one. So this one is, you all, I'm a teacher, and my nickname that my husband has given me, one of many, is Bag Lady. I love bags. I have bags on top of bags. I have quite a few that I have made over the last 4 or 5 years. Bag making has become something that I really enjoy, and I think I have a knack for it. I just like it, getting those pieces to fit together like a puzzle, and I love puzzles. So I think that's how I feel about bag making. It's like putting together a puzzle. Well, on my to-do list for the last 2 or 3 years has been to make a bag for work. I have had other bags that I have used, but I've never made one. And each bag that I have used over the many years I have been teaching, there was some element of it that I did not like or wanted to change. So that's why I wanted to make my own bag, so I could customize it to what I want and what is going to serve me and fulfill the needs that I need met. So making a work bag has been on my list for quite some time. Well, I finally got it done, you all. I think I showed this a while ago, but I have completed the Mary Elizabeth tote. This was my foundation for my bag. And the reason I say that is because I made quite a few changes. First change you will notice off the bat is this part of the bag, the bottom, and this part of the bag I made smaller. Okay, this is significantly smaller, and then the top band around the top I made smaller. I also lengthened the straps. These straps were supposed to be cut 24 inches long. I made mine 30. I cannot stand it when that bag is right up under my armpit. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to run into that problem. And the other significant change I made on the outside was these strips were supposed to be cut. Once you pieced all of them together, they were to be cut to be 8.5 inches long. I made mine, I think, 12 inches long because I wanted the majority of the bag to be the strips, because I was using a variety of African prints that I got in a swap on a page I participated in on Facebook. So I have like a huge wad of jelly roll strips out of Ankara fabric. So that's what I wanted to use for this bag. I also incorporated some of the fabrics that I had in my own stash, my yardage. Each strap I made out of a different fabric. The bottom I made out of black canvas because I wanted the bottom to be sturdy. I'm going to be taking it back and forth to work. I'm going to be putting my laptop in it. And Lord knows what else I'm going to be putting in it. So I needed the bag to be sturdy. So let me stop talking and show you the things that I did. And I also made some changes to the inside, which I will show you. But here it is. And hopefully, let me scoot back to make sure I can fit. This is my finished bag. I love it. This is probably one of the nicest things I've ever made. But here's that black canvas bottom. It's a very thick canvas that I got from, I think I got it from Joann's. But it's a thick canvas. And here are my straps. I had to use some of my yardage. And y'all might recognize some of these fabrics that I have done in project bags on my Etsy shop, because I do a lot of Ankara project bags. But all of these strips, I think I cut them 12 inches. So of course they're about 11.5 once the seams are added. I did consistently either a 1/4 of an inch seam or a 3/8 of an inch seam, depending on where I was in the bag, because I did a 3/8 of an inch seam if I wanted it to be a little bit more sturdy. I used the called for interfacing, except for this part. This is a foam interfacing. I just used the Pellon flexible foam interfacing, one-sided. I think by Annie's or Bosel was called for, but you all, those interfacings were much more expensive and they were not iron-on. And I know some people were like, well, the iron-on, sometimes it puckers, sometimes it shifts. I know how to make sure it doesn't. I did stitch in the ditch on each one of these strips. They're not all 2.5 inches. As you can see, that one's a little thinner, but I stitched in the ditch and quilt for the quilting. I'm not a big quilter on a hand machine or on a regular machine, so that was the extent of what I wanted to do, and I'm very happy with it. Let me show you the other side, which is similar, but I made sure I did not repeat any of my strips. None of these fabrics were repeated anywhere all the way around. And actually, I have another strip available from each one of those that I used from that big fat jelly roll that I had. I had more than 50 strips of each one of these. I think each person that was participated in the swap had to swap 6 strips. And then you, of course, you got 6 back. And I think there were like 10 to 15 people in the swap. Okay, so I finally found something to use these for, and this, I wanted it to be a solid color. And let me show you the inside. Hopefully you all can see it. This is orange, just an orange sparkle. I don't know if you can see the sparkle in it, but it's a sparkle keepsake calico from Joann's. This pocket, it's a separated pocket made from another Ankara fabric, but it's got a seam sewn in the middle to make 2 big pockets. And then I believe on this side, I sewed a skinny seam, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I sewed a small seam so I could put a pencil or a pen there. Teacher mode, teacher mode. I added on this side, there was supposed to be a 6-inch cell phone pocket. And I decided instead to make a zipper pocket. I made a welt zipper pocket out of the lining fabric. And then I just added a red zipper so I could see it easier inside the bag. And then I also added a loop in case I needed to hook like my keys or a carabiner or something like that on this loop. So I just took a little piece of this fabric that I had left and made a little loop. And then on the other side, same concept. I got a little keychain with a hook on it. So if I needed to hook something, keys, another bag, whatever. So this bag was inspired by a lot of other bags and purses that I've had over the years. So I'm super pleased with it. It is very sturdy. I did take it on my trip to Canada just because I wanted to test it out and see how it did. It was very comfortable to carry. This I added, I think the Corbon was the main flat interfacing that I use, but I added some I added some fusible fleece to the arms, to the straps to make it more comfortable. And I believe I widened the strap by about like either a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch. So there was a lot of math involved in this bag because I had certain specifications and things that I wanted it to be or to have. I believe it is 21 inches this way and then 15 or 16 this way. And I think it was only supposed to be 18 and 14 or something like that. I don't remember. I'll put it down below so you can kind of see the different size, the difference in the size. But I just added 2 or 3 inches. Now, the one thing I did not do, and I'm still going to do it because I've seen a way you can do it. I want to add a zipper on the top. There's a way that you can attach 2 panels, one on each side, and then put the zipper in between. So, and then just simply sew it down. So I think that's what I'm going to do. This is probably one of my top bag makes. Top 3 of things I've made that I love. I did a camo jacket a few years ago that I wear all the time. I have a weekender bag that I made that I love. It's black and white and pink. And then now this one. I think I want to make this bag again. I'm gonna probably make it again in the size it was intended to be made. I might make it exactly like the pattern calls for, and then just to see. And then my husband was like, "You need to sell those." My son, "You need to sell those." We'll see. But I liked it. I would say this took me 2 days. I finished it at 10 o'clock and I was leaving for the airport at noon. I was determined to have it to take on the trip. I did run into a snag, and so I take that back. I didn't finish it exactly 10 o'clock. I should have been finished at 10 o'clock. But when I was in the process of birthing the bag, it ripped, the lining ripped. So, you know, I went into repair mode. Nobody's gonna see it but me. But it ripped right down here by the big pocket and the side seam, because I was pulling it through the opening in the lining to birth it and pull it right side out. And I don't think I pulled the opening open enough, and I tried to pull too much fabric through at one time, and it just ripped right like on the lining, but this way. So I unbirthed it and then I laid it out. I put some interfacing behind it, and then I found like a really tight zigzag stitch on my machine. I lined the pieces up so you couldn't even tell that it had been ripped, and then I just zigzagged over it in orange thread, and it was fine. But I probably will not use that fabric, that glittery fabric from the Keepsake Calico Wall in Joann's. It's a little too thick. It almost acts like canvas. So next time I'll probably use a different fabric, probably Kona cotton or something simple on the inside. So I'm super pleased with it. I have another couple of bags, one already cut out that I need to finish. So this has kind of inspired me to get back to that. And then I've seen some people with the By Annie's, I believe it's like an ultimate tote or weekender or something. I want to tackle that one. And then I also want to make another one of these with that flap on the back so I can put it on my luggage and wheel it through the airport. That was the only thing that was missing, but this is not intended for travel. I have specifically made this one for work, for taking my stuff back and forth to work. And I'm also thinking about making a laptop sleeve to match it so I can put my work computer in it. So again, this is the Mary Elizabeth tote bag by Sweet Jane's. I know you can get that pattern on Etsy, but I think I got it from my local quilt shop, which is oh so personal in O'Fallon, Missouri. I believe that's where I got it. And they had samples of the bag up, which I was grateful for because it gave me a chance to see it and then say, okay, these are the changes I definitely want to make. I had an idea, but these are the changes I definitely wanted to make. And I got the idea for this bag. I don't remember her name. She was on Instagram, but she had a similar bag that she had made in a class, and I had reached out to her to find out the pattern, but she wasn't familiar with it. So I just started Googling. She didn't know what the pattern was. I did call the shop that she took the class at. It was in Washington, like Tacoma, Washington or something, and they couldn't tell me. So I was on a mission to find something similar because she had strips of, I believe, Ankara on her bag as well. And so I was on a mission to find something similar. So this is the pattern I looked up on. You can probably see all these pieces of paper here. Those are my math changes that I made. So I'm gonna kind of type them up and then put them in here. So if I ever want to go back and do this again, that I know exactly what I did. And if I used any tutorials, I think I used a tutorial on YouTube for the welt pocket. And if I need to access that again, I'll have that all written down in the pattern where I can find it. So thank you for indulging me on that one. I was super proud of that project. So now I'm gonna switch my camera view and go over and show you Layla's t-shirt quilt. All right, you all, if you've been with me for any length of time, you know I have a daughter that is headed to college. She has actually been there for 5 weeks already, but she is coming back home this Friday. And then we are taking her back in a week to stay for the fall semester. So I have been planning for many, many years to make a t-shirt quilt for both my children. So I have saved many of their t-shirts from when they were young up until now. And I had a tub of t-shirts and shirts and various things that I finally got out at, I believe, spring break and started working on her quilt. This is the pattern that I am using. It is from a magazine. It is from, I believe, Quilt Maker magazine. Let me look real quick and tell you. It is Quilt Maker magazine, number 165. So I'm not sure what issue that is. Oh, September, October 2015. So this is the pattern that I'm using. My mom had it and she just gave me a copy of it, working copy, so I could use it. But this is what the quilt looks like. Okay, and as you can see, I know her mattress at school is going to be an extra large, so I'm going to make sure it at least fits into these measurements. But I wanted to do this pattern because it gave me some leeway. One thing I personally am not a fan of with t-shirt quilts is making sure all of the blocks are the same, because guess what? Your designs on the t-shirts are never all going to be the same. And I have seen so many people where they'll cut the blocks so close that sometimes when they make their seam, the seam allowance covers up part of the design. And it just for me, it isn't aesthetically pleasing. So I wanted to create a quilt that would allow me to use many different sizes of quilt blocks and t-shirts, but still create a cohesive quilt. So what I am doing, I like this picture, they have this green that's unifying everything. Well, I have a girl and she's a girly girl, so I have pink that is unifying everything. So next week, I am coming out with a video on how I prepare my quilt blocks. I have made, I believe, 3 other t-shirt quilts, and all of them were asked, I was contacted to make them for somebody, so they were a custom design. I've done an Alpha Kappa Alpha t-shirt quilt. I've done an LSU t-shirt quilt, and then I did a quilt for a friend of mine who worked with a person in the restaurant industry. So she sent me t-shirts from a variety of different restaurants in, I believe it was Minnesota or Wisconsin. That's where she's based out of. So it was, I think it was Minnesota. And she sent me a bunch of restaurant t-shirts from all around the area, and I incorporated them into a design. So I like the t-shirts to dictate the design. So that's why I really liked that pattern. I'm just using it as a base. So I've got these are like the front, breast over the breast, that's for the t-shirt. So here's a bunch of them. So this is her part of her graduation shirt. This was the front area on her t-shirt, and then you'll see a lot of volleyball. So I'm just going to go through these real quick. This is a shirt we went to California when she was like 5 or 6. So I have one from that. She started playing volleyball at the Y, so I have that. And then here's her high school, and these have not been finished being pieced, these ones on top. So I'm in the process of piecing these, but I've got 2 more rows of squares to go on the top and the bottom. This is an elementary school shirt. Going to be the same block, but just reversed. That's her elementary school. This is also high school, nicknamed. Her senior shirt, class of 2024. This is our high school's rival, so that's why it says Beat Webster. And these designs were so big, I had to, all I'm doing is framing them. All of the blocks in this quilt are 16.5 by 16.5. So when I put them together, there'll be a finished block of 16 by 16. So these are 16.5-inch blocks with the framing on them. I did not want to compromise the design by cutting it too close. And then here are some of the more piece blocks. This is part of that YMCA shirt. This was the back, the other one was the front. So I use all parts of the shirt, but this is one 16.5-inch block. And here's another one. Pioneer is our mascot for Kirkwood. And then she did a lot of cheer and dance when she was small. So this was a clinic. I used to work at this school, so I always signed her up for that clinic. This was from her kindergarten class. They put their thumbprints in paint and then drew legs and stuff on them, and then they put their names. Layla's is right here, the one with the purple and the pigtails, which is, she always had pigtails. So 2012 was her kindergarten year, and I'm still in touch with her kindergarten teacher. Layla, like I said before, did a lot of dance. So this was a block, and this block this was like a leotard. So I just added a little sparkly fabric. I don't know if you can see that. Now that I'm looking at it, I wish I'd have done it in this fabric, but it's okay. But this was the dance facility she used to go to. And then these were the pocket, the front of a polo shirt. She used to work on the culinary ministry at my church. I was over it and she used to work with me. So I just took the panels off the shirt. This was her club volleyball tryout shirt. Just a shirt I brought back from when I went to Vegas, when her dad and I went to Vegas. And then this was a qualifier shirt. She went to Kansas City many times to play volleyball. And these two still need to be complete. This was another dance competition, but this was a jacket. So I just took the front name off, and then this was on the back. And so I did better this time. I used coordinating fabric, so I just still have to put a frame around it, and that one will be ready to go. And then this was a Girl Scout t-shirt. This was on the front. This was on the front. This was on the back, and this was on the sleeve. And unfortunately, my iron touched it a little bit, but I'm gonna keep it on there anyway, because she did Girl Scouts up until I think she was in 5th grade. And she liked Girl Scouts. So this one needs a panel at the top to make it the 16.5. So those are the quilt blocks. I'm not positive it's going to be done by the time she leaves, but it will be pieced by the time she leaves, and I'm going to give it to my mom for her to quilt. But I'm not going to rush her. So hopefully she'll get it done before she leaves next week. My mom's pretty quick, but if not, then I'll just ship it to her when it's done. But she doesn't know about it. I will definitely do a video and have her show it to you once it is completely pieced. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Again, I'm going to be making a video, I'm filming it now, on how I prep my quilt or my t-shirts. As you can see, they're interfaced. All of the t-shirts are interfaced, and that just helps them lay flat, because as you can see, these look like regular fabric, okay, the way that they are pieced. So I have a lot of tips. So if you've ever wanted to make a t-shirt quilt, I will definitely make sure to check it out when it comes out. So thank you all for indulging me on this quilt, and I'll be back to wrap it up. I hope you all enjoyed that walk through the quilt. Very pleased with my progress on that. I do wish I would have gotten started on it a little earlier, but I'm the kind of person, I need a deadline. And I had so many other projects, like my cotillion dress, and then just other things that were higher priority than that. So it wasn't until these last 2 or 3 weeks that I've actually had time to actually start on it. And I don't want to work on that late at night because that's when I make mistakes, when I'm tired. So I have not been burning the midnight oil working on it. So it's not as far as I want it to be. I think I should definitely have all of the blocks done by tomorrow. The only block I don't have that I'm going to try and complete tomorrow that I don't have the t-shirt for is I need a St. Louis Cardinals t-shirt. I had cut up a t-shirt for it, but it turns out it's not going to work because it was a v-neck and it was going to cut it too close to the design. So I've scrapped that and I'm going to go to Goodwill and find a Cardinals t-shirt. Yeah, we've got a few here, but we wear them and they're nice. So I'm going to go to Goodwill and find a Cardinals t-shirt because I want that to be represented on her quilt. I do have a couple more Kirkwood volleyball. I've got a couple more volleyball t-shirts that I want to incorporate, but I'm saving a couple of her Kirkwood shirts for the tutorial. So I'm going to be working on that tomorrow. So if you've ever wanted to make a t-shirt quilt, I would implore you to check it out because I am going to try and give you some good tips on how to go about it. I don't think I've ever made a t-shirt quilt start to finish with a pattern and that pattern was set. Again, I let the shirts dictate the quilt. So yes, there's some math, a lot of math involved when you change things, but the end result is more personal and more just fitting for what you started working with. So that's one of the things I love about t-shirt quilts. They are definitely custom and one of a kind. To wrap up, I've got a couple of investments that I'm going to share and then I will close it out. Okay. My Under the Sea fabric came for July. It is called Aquarius. Hold on, I'm stuck. And it is a pretty blue. It looks really blue on camera, but a little bit of modeling, dark modeling throughout. Love it. This is a 32 count Lugana and I get this one every month. I don't think they sent one out in June, but this one, yeah, it doesn't say, but I know they skipped a month this summer. The next thing is a Summer Quaker by Primrose Cottage. I love this. Yellow, I'm not a big yellow person, but I'm starting to like yellow more and more. I have some lemon project bags that I'm making for myself, things like that. And then I just love lemons in summer, and that's what these look like. They look like lemons on there to me. And so fittingly, I picked up this Color and Cotton color lemon tart to do it in. So I don't know when I'm going to get to that, but it's ready to go. And I am just going to do it on a white, some type of white. I know I have a 32 count Lugana. I'm pretty sure I have a 28 count Lugana. So Summer Quaker by Primrose Cottage and lemon tart. The last thing I got was some fabric that I picked up from Canada. And my girlfriend and I went to Canada. She and I have traveled together before. If you've been on my Instagram, you may have seen a picture of me with the Pioneer Woman. That's my friend Alicia. She does watch my channel. Hey girl. She does cross stitch as well. She actually has a cross stitch club at her school. She taught special education, but she had a cross stitch club at her school the last couple of years. So she is familiar with cross stitch. So she wanted to go on a girls trip and we had a great time. We went to Toronto, Canada, and we went to Niagara Falls while we were up there. The Niagara Falls leg of the trip was amazing. I went to Niagara Falls. I was probably pre-teens, and I have a picture of us on that boat with those blue slickers on. So I know we left from the American side. I was talking to my dad, and he said we went over to the Canada side because really you get the best view from the Canada side. But this was my first time originating on the Canada side, and we spent the whole time on the Canada side. We didn't even go over to the American side. But it was breathtaking, you all. I obviously I did not appreciate it to the level that I did this time. And I see why it's a wonder of the world. I took a couple of pictures, you all. I was impressed with myself. And if I don't find a picture of Niagara Falls, because now I want to stitch Niagara Falls. If I don't find one, I'm going to take one of the pictures that I took and see if I can get it transferred into a cross stitch pattern for myself. I want to design. I want to start designing. That's something I'm really talking about, but I don't think my skill and my talent would be that good. So I'm going to check Heaven and Earth Designs, Artisy, some of these larger companies that do full coverage, and see if they already have a Niagara Falls design. And I'm sure you all are aware of them if they do. But if you know of anybody that could design that for me, and hopefully I've put in some pictures as I've been talking, I want to get that done. Now, the picture that I took that I really liked was of the American side of the falls. I felt like my pictures from the Canadian side of the falls were more difficult to really see because the mist is constant on the Canadian side. The American side has those rocks down below. So there, for some reason, there doesn't seem to be as much mist. And I think the shot that I liked the best, I had one of the boats coming by. And it was so funny. Melanie and I, one of the girls on the trip, she was like, you should go take pictures from this spot. We were at the little cafe, just sitting, waiting. And she's like, why is the best pictures that we've taken the whole time we were here from over here? I mean, there's a whole area that people are standing. No, the best pictures were right there where that little cafe was. So that segment of the falls that was on the American side, if I can, I'm definitely going to get that to where I can stitch it, because it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. So while I was there in Canada, I did attempt to find some cross stitch stores. The closest one to Toronto that I saw pictures of and thought, okay, this is where I want to go, it was 2 hours away. So I didn't make to it. If I think of the name of it, I'll put it down below. But it looked like it was right up my alley, but it was 2 hours away. So I did not go. We did hit some fabric stores in Toronto, and we did hit a fabric land, which seems like it's the chain, probably similar to Joann's, but I would say it was probably more like Hancock. For those of you who've been around for a while, how Hancock Fabrics was, that's what it really reminded me of. The store was like 3 levels and they had upholstery and everything. But I found a few pieces that you will probably see in project bags. But I bought some Canada fabric. I did not really buy myself a t-shirt. I mean, I have one. I may end up giving it to Layla. But I didn't really buy souvenirs for me. So this is going to be my souvenir. So I bought these fabrics and I'm going to make myself a project bag to commemorate my girls trip. So I got this one with the maple leaves. Yeah, that maple leaf and those moose are on everything. I really like this one. All the Canadian related words. And another maple leaf, but this one is more of a camouflage. So those were the 3 I got. I think I got a yard of each, I believe. I think I did. So I'm going to make at least 1, maybe 2 project bags for myself. And then whatever I have left, I'll make a couple and put them up on Etsy. So that was my main purchase for me. I did buy a few other fabrics. And then I also bought these souvenir lapel pins that I'm going to make some needle minders out of. There's a Niagara Falls and then a Canadian flag and then just a maple leaf. So these are pins. I'm just going to turn them into needle minders. So all of that will be how I commemorate my girls trip. And Alicia, thank you. We had a good time. Thanks for inviting me. Let me make sure. I'm gonna check my notes. Plans, very few, because August is coming. This next week, I'm going to be helping Layla get herself together so we can take her down to school to stay. And then for me, you all, school starting. Not just getting my son ready, but getting me ready. I'm mentoring a new teacher this year, which is different for me. I've never done that before. And then I've got a lot of ideas on how I want to change how I do things in my classes. So I've been mentally working on that. But August is a crapshoot as far as how much time I'm going to have. I'm still going to have time because even when I'm busy, I still stitch before I go to bed, no matter what. I don't do a lot of stitching during the day. Even all summer, I have all day, you all, I can stitch. I usually don't. If I do anything creative, I'm sewing. Like today, I've been working on her quilt, or I'll work on project bags. But for some reason, I save my stitching for the evenings. And then the only time I stitch during the day is if I'm waiting somewhere. And I pull it out to help me wait. But other than that, I still do most of my stitching exclusively in the evenings. So that probably won't change very much. I do have a couple of new starts. One of them is at Christmas. I still have not started the Nutcracker Tree by Tiny Modernist. I also have my Mirabilia. It's kitted and ready to go. I just got to start it. So I need to get it in my scroll frame that I bought, my roller frame. And that's the only reason I haven't started, because I need to load it in the roller frame. So I need to do that. And then I just want to keep plugging away on some of these things. When you get finishes, that encourages you to keep going. So I have at least one that I know I want to finish by the time I talk to you again. And then of course I have her quilt that I want to definitely finish. So I've got a lot going on. I got at least 2 more weeks, I think, completely free before I have to at least start going into work, seeing what the lay of the land is. We haven't gotten our letter from our principal yet. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. I don't look at nothing until August 1st, and then I'll start thinking about it. But I think that's all I have. Those are the only plans I'm really comfortable with making, the ones I mentioned as we were talking. But I am going to continue with my starts. This will definitely be the year I have the most starts. And then next year, I'll probably dial it back just because I'm going to have so many whips already in play. But I'm not even to 30 whips yet, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm going to be watching a few more whip parades and all of that. The last thing I do want to make sure I mention, nobody from the previous video number 27, nobody from that video claimed the 2 giveaway prizes that I had. So I will keep those active, and if nobody claims them by the next video, then I'll just put them back into my stash and they will reappear when I do my next giveaway. And that will probably be at 3,000 subscribers. Thank you to you all that have been purchasing project bags. I've had quite a few sales this last week, so thank you so much. Project bags are constantly going up, you all. I just get them in where I can fit them in. And I think I've even got some that I've taken the pictures, I just haven't put them on the site yet. So I'm going to be doing that hopefully by this weekend. And every Friday, check back, because that's usually when I have new bags posted. And I've got a lot of new things I'm working on. I'm actually working on a project portfolio. So many of you all have inspired me with showing yours, so I'm going to make one of those for myself. So I've got a couple of fabrics pulled, and I've already cut some of it. So hopefully next video I will have one of those, my trial run of those, because I'm just going to do a trial run, and then I'm going to start making changes and adapting it to how I like it. So thank you all so much for joining me. I don't think I forgot anything. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. I would love to have you follow my journey and continue to see what I'm doing over here on my channel. I hope you have a blessed rest of the summer. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I did pretty good. I got 2 in a 3-week period in the month of July. So I would really like to try and stick to that. So look for me again in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And please leave your comments. I love to hear from you. Some of you, I love some of the things that you told me and how you were able to relate to my last video. So I always look forward to reading your comments. I read every single one, and hopefully I hit the heart on there to let you know that I at least saw it. So I thank you all so much for your kindness and for just coming back to watch me. So have a good rest of the week, and I will see you next month. And as always, you all be blessed.